The Chesapeake and Ohio appears on the scene by 1869, a relative newcomer. It was built to connect the city of Richmond, Virginia, to the banks of the Ohio River. The C&O was involved with C.P. Huntington, who was one of the Big Four that built the Central Pacific over Donner Pass out in California. The Ohio River was reached by 1873 near Huntington, West Virginia, named for C.P. Huntington. After an initial stumble, the C&O performed well over the years, and even did well in the Great Depression. By 1947, the C&O was wealthy enough to be the New York Central's largest stockholder. The C&O was always looking for merger partners. This potential merger was spoiled by the Chesapeake and Ohio's CEO, Robert Young, who jumped over to run the New York Central. In another 50 years, the C&O, as the core of CSX, would eventually own the New York Central's main line. These scenes are from the late 1950s in Virginia and West Virginia in coal country. Many of the Virginian scenes are along the James River. The James River flows all the way to Richmond, Virginia, and passes by the historic Jamestown English settlement of 1607, named after the English king, James I. Many of the inhabitants in these Appalachian regions use the C&O's gas-electric-powered passenger service. This mode of transportation brought the mail, news, packaged goods, and of course people. This was less costly to operate on the railroad than steam or diesel-powered trains. This C&O Brill gas-electric number 9050 is being turned for its return trip. It was capable of towing a few cars that extended its flexibility. The C&O had a total of 6 of this Brill model. What brought the rails here to many of these isolated locations was coal. Coal always seemed to crop up in the most inaccessible parts. The self-reliant inhabitants could outsurvive most any other group in the country, and they were always ready to do the work of working the mines or on the various coal-hauling railroads. Quite a bit more glamorous equipment was found on the C&O's passenger train fleet. C&O lines in yellow connected passengers from Detroit, Louisville, Cincinnati, and connections to Chicago by the way of the New York Central Railroad, since the C&O main line from Indianapolis to nearly Chicago was used for freight only. Eastward to Washington, D.C. brought forwarding connections north to New York City over the Pennsylvania Railroad. After leaving Alexandria, Virginia, the next 8 track miles will cross the Potomac River and bring the train into the large station in Washington, D.C. While the C&O kept high standards for such trains as the George Washington, the road made much of its bottom-line profits on hauling coal and even grain to East Coast ports for export. The original purpose of the C&O, to make the ports more valuable, validates the beginning vision to this day. The sunburst paint scheme was applied to some B&O units before the B&O C&O merger. After the merger, the common blue with yellow accents and the B&O's Capitol Dome logo on the nose became the norm. The C&O units had the C&O for Progress logo on the locomotive's noses. C&O enhancement blue and B&O bandeau blue were slightly different. The difference was hard to notice after a little fading with time. B&O 9624 and 9622 are TR4 cow and calf sets built by EMD in 1950, originally ordered for the C&O. Each TR4 is a mated pair of SW7s, with one being a cabless B unit. These were fine yard and transfer engines with better visibility to aid in spotting crew members giving hand signals during switching moves. In 1964, the B&O and C&O combined their passenger departments to improve marketing and service to the travelers. You can see from this B&O train that the equipment was pooled between the two roads. This NW2 is toiling away in a yard near Ellesmere Junction in Delaware. It was transferred to the B&O in 1973 from parent C&O. The days of small 1,000 horsepower switchers like this were drawing to a close. The 1970s would see heavier power performing these tasks. B&O GP40s 4007 and 4008 were still new looking in 1976. They were built in 1971. The Chessie and C&O power here on B&O tracks mean that the Chessie era is already 2 years old, and merged power is spreading everywhere on the combined lines. It was sad to see the older GP9s, such as this pair, replaced with more modern power. These two GP9s were soon repainted into Chessie colors, but they were retired for good in the mid-1980s.